On today's show, I'll reveal one of the biggest secrets of the Brett Mason podcast. I, a person who probably has eaten more McDonald's than anybody, will tell them how to save that company from going bankrupt, and we'll be taking a Bible quiz. How well do you know your Bible?
This is the Brett Mason Show. Hey, hey, hey! My name is Brett. This is my show. This is my show.
Well, hello, beautiful people. Welcome into another exciting podcast. I am your humble host, Brett Mason. It is the second day of June. It's the second day of June. I remember when I was younger and you'd hear your parents or grandparents talk about how time flies. I'm not sure what that's a result of, but it really does happen. I mean, when you're younger, man, it takes forever for summer to get here, or Christmas to get here, or spring break to get here. When you get older, man, it's like you're on a big tilt-a-whirl of time. The year's like halfway over. Anyway, thanks for listening to the podcast today. I really appreciate it, man. Some of you guys have shared our podcast. If you'd share, hit the share button and share it with your friends, I'd be eternally indebted to you. So I want to thank you for that. I want to thank Toyota Dothan Rental Cars and Courtney for being a sponsor of the show. And I want to let you know that if everything goes as planned on tomorrow's podcast, we'll have Bud and Broadway on the show. Tomorrow's podcast should be Bud and Broadway. Oh, I'm so excited. But they're like big and famous in Tulsa, Oklahoma now. And they'll be on the little wimpy Brett Mason podcast. How awesome is that? Coming up a little bit later on the show, we will be running down a Bible quiz. You think your Bible knowledge is good? This is interesting. I've been told that I'll fail it. Somebody said, I haven't taken it yet. We'll take it together. So that's coming up a little bit. We're going to be talking about McDonald's and how they're trying to revive their failing company. I'll be honest, we have way more listeners so far than I really even thought. I do hope that the podcast grows because I hope that I learn better what people want and that I get better at delivering it. You know, I had like a 15-year career in radio, and I knew how to do radio. And there's a lot of things I know how to do. Podcasting is new to me. It's kind of like radio, but not really, because people can listen to your podcast anytime. A wide variety of people listen to it, and they're not just listening mainly for the music and then you secondarily. Because in radio, let's be honest, and there's a lot of DJs out there that are full of themselves. But people listen to the radio for music. Secondarily, probably news and weather, and then a DJ, well, probably a contest, cash and prizes. If that weren't true, stations wouldn't be trying their best to give away more money than the other stations. So money's way up there. So DJs are like fourth or fifth on the list. So when you do a podcast, it's all about the content and your ability to deliver it in a manner that catches people's attention. And I may fail at it miserably, but I enjoy it. It's something that I like. I reveal a secret of podcasting. This is being released on June 2nd, which is a Tuesday, June 2nd, 2015. You could be listening to it in the year 2025. I don't know. That's another interesting twist on podcasting is when it's released and when you hear it, could be a year apart, could be a month apart. And even more, and maybe even a bigger secret is, I could have recorded it God knows when. And it's actually not even June yet, and I'm recording it. This is like the 30th. It's a late Friday night. Well, I guess it's Saturday now. It's like 12:15 in the morning on a Saturday, and I'm recording this because I was out doing some stuff earlier, and I'm bored and I can't sleep. So I'm like, I'm throwing in a podcast. And I saw a couple of things that interested me a little bit, and so I thought that I would maybe talk about those things. McDonald's, I don't know if you've seen this story about McDonald's, but McDonald's is really losing money. I think they're planning on closing like 700 stores this quarter. They were the only major fast food restaurant to post a loss in the last quarter of last year. Only major fast food restaurant to post a loss. So they're trying to do some other things. I mean, I would just recommend that you hire more pleasant people. And look, if you're listening to me and you work at McDonald's and you're a pleasant person, obviously I'm not talking about you. So please don't take what I say and apply it to you. That's one of the things I hate is when you say something about, an experience that you have in large with a group or organization. the good people in that organization or the ones that run counter to that, they get offended. And it's obviously, if that's not you, it's not applied to you. That's like when people say fat people are lazy. I don't get offended by that. There's a lot of lazy fat people. I'm lazy in a lot of ways, but now I'll work, man. When I worked for companies, I worked, I remember when I worked at the radio station, 96.9, working 12 and 14-hour days, and they don't pay you for that. They don't even pay you for a 2-hour day for the most part. I mean, I did right there towards the end start making a almost decent salary, but for most of my radio career, I got paid squat. I can tell you this. I left, started radio in Georgia. Then I went to WPAP 92.5 in Panama City Beach, or Panama City. And then I left there, and I just really wanted to work at 96.9. At that time, Tom and Jerry, probably the most popular morning show maybe ever in Dothan, was on. That station was it was it. I mean, even in Panama City, that's the station people listened to, and that's where I wanted to work. I wanted to work for the best and with the best, because that's what I like to do. I like to do the best, be the best, challenge myself with the best. And so it took me a long time to get hired there, but I've always been a person that was like, if you'll give me a chance, I will work myself up. I will prove to you that I deserve to be here, and you will give me my due at some point in time. And it's a quiet confidence. I don't go in all cocky and arrogant, but in my mind, that's the way I am. And I know we were talking about McDonald's. We'll get back to it. Look, it's my podcast. I can talk about what I want. I'm sorry. I know I get sidetracked. So, what was my point? It was about salaries and getting paid what you're worth and doing business and all that kind of stuff. So, and doing a podcast, right? So, I must have applied to 96.9 at that time, and Tom Nebel, who's Jerry's partner, was the general manager there. Of course, Jerry made hiring decisions, but Tom was the ultimate guy. Tom Nebel was over all the stations, I think. Jerry was just the program director and morning show guy for the country station. And I don't know how often I applied and called, but I called and called. Every week I'd call Tom Nebel. Every week I'd call. And finally one day they called me and they said, you know what, we're going to hire you. We're going to hire you to do nights. And God, I was so pumped, man. I wanted to work at 96.9 so bad. And I had this blazing night show. That night show was probably one of the funnest things I've ever done on radio. I had the most fun doing that back in the day. Crying, Loving, or Leaving we did. But so they called me in, and Tom Nebel announces to me, and Tom Nebel had an ability, and you can ask Broadway this. Tom Nebel had the ability to give you the worst possible news in the best possible way and make it seem like he was doing you a favor. He really did. Of course, I wanted to work there so bad that I didn't care. I just didn't care. I would have worked there for free if they would have just let me in the door. So Tom Nebel calls me in, and he says, hey, I think we're going to bring you and let you do nights. He said, we can pay you $12,000 a year. $12,000. And he made it sound great. He went to explain to me how they had to let people go, and they just weren't really paying anybody, and how fortunate people were to have a job in today's society, how hard radio was to break into right now, and blah, 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 and how some stations didn't even have a night host, and they were one of the few that even have somebody on at night, and we're going to do you a favor and let you work here and pay you $12,000 a year. So for the first 2 years that I worked at 96.9, which is mainly nights, I think it was nights probably the whole first 2 years I was there, I actually lived with my grandmother, because I didn't make enough money to live on my own. At some point in time, I finally got raised a decent enough amount that I moved to Dothan, but it was rough for a while. So my point is you can't, when I say about hiring more pleasant people at McDonald's, since I've changed my eating habits and I'm mostly raw vegan, McDonald's is not only on my list too much. Now, I will stop there occasionally and have some things or whatever. Matter of fact, we stopped there on the way back from Birmingham, which is the first time I'd been to McDonald's in a year probably, with my mom a couple weeks ago. The people who work there, by and large, at most McDonald's, they're just rude. Now, I understand it's a hard job. I've tried to be very appreciative of fast food places because I know that job probably mostly sucks. I know it does. Probably mostly sucks. But, it's a job, and I didn't do anything to make it suck for you. I just ordered and handed you money. So, they could work on that, and then they could also work on hiring enough people to cover the shifts so that they don't do that pull-up thing. You know what the most annoying thing about fast food restaurants to me is? That whole thing where you're at the drive-through, and then you pay, and then they pull you up to the next window, and they hand you your drink and straw, and then they go, "Okay, I need you to pull over into the parking lot over there and wait." And somebody, well, at that point, it's not a fast food restaurant anymore. If you'd have just told me that to begin with, I would have just went inside where I could sit down. There's nothing fast food about this at all. I've waited in line forever, and now you've pulled me up into a corner of the parking lot where I've been banished for 10 minutes while you try to get your ducks in a row in the kitchen in there. And the reason they do that, and I refuse to do it and I used to eat at McDonald's every day. Every day I'd eat at McDonald's. On the rare days that I didn't, I was still eating at another fast food restaurant. That used to be my life. And I would just tell the people, and it'd make them mad. But I'd be like, I'm not pulling into the parking lot. I'm just not going to. I'll either sit here and wait for my food, or you can just give me a refund and I'll go eat somewhere else. And I would be very clear with them, like, I'm doing you a favor, because if you get to punch your little thing in there and say that you served me in a minute and 8 seconds or a minute and 40 seconds, then they're never going to help you. They're going to leave too few of you trying to service too many people because their numbers still look good, but their numbers are fake. You haven't served me. You've sent me off to the parking lot in a minute and 40 seconds. You haven't served me in a minute and 40 seconds. You've just got me away from your window in a minute and 40 seconds. And I understand that they tell you to move me through, but you're not doing yourself any favors. So don't be mad at me. I know you're doing what they tell you, but once I say no, you really should just go, okay, you can wait. Because in the long run, they're going to hire another cook, and they're going to hire another person to run the fry machine to help you get people through faster. And you'll have happier customers. You'll be happy. Everybody working inside will be happier because you won't be doing, you won't have 8 people doing the job of 12 people. And it'll just be better for everybody. So I recommend that to anybody. If you're a fast food connoisseur like I used to be, when you get up to the window and they ask you to pull up in the parking lot, just politely refuse and explain to them why. Go, I pulled through fast food because I wanted to get fast food at the window here. I don't want to pull over in the parking lot and wait 10 minutes. I'll be happy to sit here and wait. Or you can refund my money and I'll go somewhere else. And I'm doing this to help you, because corporate is never going to recognize there's a problem here if they don't see their serve numbers go up to 3, 4, 5, 8, 10, 12 minutes. It's going to look like they're serving people. So anyway, McDonald's answer, I know I took what they call a long road to a little house, but I've finally arrived at the house. So their great answer from their new CEO, Steve Easterbrook, is that they're going to start warming their buns, and then they're going to start searing the beef so that the patties are juicier. Now, I'm going to tell you, I don't care how you sear your beef patty. If you plop that thing under the heat lamp for 15 minutes or 30 minutes, everything, the bun's going to dry out, the burger's going to dry out, and I can't tell you how many times that I have pulled through and that's what I got served. So you have other issues. You have a lot of issues, and all the restaurants that are succeeding now are going with fresher. They're going with tastier. They're putting effort in because people will pay. I mean, back when you could get I remember when you could get a combo meal at McDonald's for $4.50 or $5. The day of the $5 combo meal at any fast food place is gone. At McDonald's, it's going to run you $6 to $7. At Wendy's, and like I said, I don't eat out anymore. I have to go back a year for a reference point on these numbers. But, Wendy's is $7 or $8, and some other places are $9. I mean, fast food is pretty expensive now. So, if you're going to charge that, you need to deliver. All right, so you think you know the Bible, right? I'm going to give you a Bible stumping quiz. If you're a Bible person, if you're a Jesus Christian Bible studying person, you may or may not be surprised by how well you do on this quiz. We're going to do it coming up in just a second.
This is the Brett Mason Show. Hey, hey, hey!
I'm going to take 30 seconds to tell you about my favorite person, one of my favorite people in the whole world, Courtney over at Toyota Dothan Rental Cars. Yes, they rent cars at Toyota of Dothan on the south side of the circle. You can rent a Camry, you can rent an Avalon, you can rent one of their SUVs, you can rent a truck. And their fees are lower, the process is easier, the rental prices are just unbelievable, and you get to deal with some of the best people ever. Courtney is one of the greatest people on the planet. You go to toyotadothan.com and check out the rental section to see some of the prices. You can email Courtney, and when you email her, tell her that Brett Mason sent you by. Say, Brett Mason sent me by here. I want to know, what can you do for me? He told me you were the best, and she will hook you up, I promise, because Courtney's just awesome. Her email address is Courtney at toyotaofdothan.com. Toyotaofdothan.com, rental cars.
This is the Brett Mason Show. Hey, hey, hey.
So I had somebody send me this quiz, this Bible quiz, and said, I know you think you're good at Bible quizzes and stuff. We're going to see how well you do at it. Now, I'm going to be honest and upfront with you right now. I haven't taken the quiz, so I don't know how well I'm going to do at it. I do spend considerable time researching parts of the Bible. The thing about it is some of the stuff I research is not really stuff that would probably show up in a quiz. Like, there's parts of the Bible that I probably know way more about than anybody else. And then there's some common things to some people that I may not be that well versed in, because those aren't the things that I spend a lot of my time studying, researching. So I thought we'd take the quiz together, and you can play the Bible quiz home game with Brett Mason, and we'll see how well you do, and we'll see how well I do. I know it's making noise. Sorry about that. All right, question number 1. Which Bible figure is most closely associated with leading the Exodus from Egypt? Which Bible figure is most closely associated with leading the Exodus from Egypt? I believe that'd be Moses. I believe is the correct answer. We'll see. What was Mother Teresa's religion? Mother Teresa. I believe Mother Teresa would be Catholic. That's not a Bible question. Which of the following is not one of the 10 commandments? Which of the following is not one of the 10 commandments? Do not commit adultery, do unto others, do not steal, keep the Sabbath. That'd be do unto others. As you'd have them do unto you is not a commandment. When does the Jewish Sabbath begin? That begins Friday at sundown, is my guess. Is Ramadan the hint? What's this got to do with the Bible? I don't know about this. Maybe this isn't a Bible quiz. Maybe this is just a religion quiz. I believe somebody has misled me on this link. Is Ramadan the Hindu festival of lights, Jewish Day of Atonement, or the Islamic? That's the Islamic holy month. That's in the news all the time. Which of the following best describes the Catholic teaching about the bread and wine used for communion? The bread and wine actually becomes the body and blood of Jesus Christ. The bread and wine are symbols. No, Catholics believe that it actually becomes the body and blood of Jesus Christ. That's my guess. In which religion are Vishnu and Shiva central figures? I believe that would... is it Taoism? Vishnu. Maybe it's Hindu. I think it's Hindu. Which Bible figure is most closely associated with remaining obedient to God despite suffering? Well, it's got to be Job, right? What was Joseph Smith's religion? Joseph Smith invented Mormonism, religion of the magical underwear. I added that last part. According to rulings by the U.S. Supreme Court, is a public school teacher permitted to lead a class in prayer or not? No. I believe that's no. According to rulings by the U.S. Supreme Court, is a public school teacher permitted to read from the Bible as an example of literature? Yes, I believe that they can do that. What religion do most people in Pakistan consider themselves? Pakistan is either Hindu or Muslim, and I think it's Muslim. May be wrong about that one. What was the name of the person whose writings and actions inspired the Protestant Reformation? That would be John Wesley, wasn't it? Was that John Wesley? We'll see. Which of these religions aims at nirvana, the state of being free from suffering? I'm going to guess that's Buddhism, but I'm not sure. Which of these preachers participated in the period of religious activity known as the First Great Awakening? The First Great Awakening. Charles Finney seems to be the name that pops into my head for that. It's not Billy Graham. Charles Finney? Oh, we'll see our results. We'll see how well we did. Which Bible figure is most closely associated with leading the Exodus? Moses. I answered that correctly. What was Mother Teresa's religion? I correctly answered Catholic. Which of the following is not one of the 10 Commandments? I correctly answered do as to others as you have them to do to you. When does the Jewish Sabbath begin? I correctly answered Friday. Ramadan is the Islamic holy month. I got that right. Which of the following best describes the Catholic teaching about bread and wine? Yes, they do believe that when you do communion, the bread and wine actually becomes the body and blood of Jesus Christ. Which is crazy, by the way. If you're Catholic, I'm sorry, but that's crazy. I understand doing communion and it's symbolizing it, but I don't know how you can. It's obviously still bread. It's obviously still wine. But that's another discussion for another time. In which religion are Vishnu and Shiva? It is Hinduism. Yay, I got that right. I wasn't sure. The Bible figure most closely associated with suffering is Job. I got that right. Joseph Smith is Mormon. I got that right. A public teacher is not permitted to lead a prayer in class. I got that right. A public teacher can use the Bible as an example of literature. I got that right. What religion do people in Pakistan consider themselves? Mostly, Muslim is right. Here's one I got wrong. What was the name of the person whose writings and actions inspired the Protestant Reformation? I answered John Wesley. The correct answer is Martin Luther. Well, now I'm going to have to pause, and I'm going to have to Google John Wesley, because I'm pretty sure that name has something to do with religion, right? John Wesley was an Anglican divine and theologian who, with his brother Charles and fellow cleric George Whitefield, is credited with the foundation of the evangelical movement known as Methodism. Oh, John Wesley, Methodism. Okay. Well, I knew that name was something. It wasn't the Protestant Reformation. Which of these religions aims at nirvana, the state of being free from suffering? I got that one right with Buddhism. And I missed the last one. Which of these preachers participated in the period of religious activity known as the First Great Awakening? I answered Charles Finney for that. The correct answer was Jonathan Edwards. I thought Jonathan Edwards was that psychic guy that talks to dead people. Okay, well, let's just be clear. He doesn't talk to dead people. He pretends to talk to dead people for lots of money, and he's a horrible person. Jonathan Edwards was a Protestant preacher, philosopher, and theologian, widely acknowledged to be America's most important and original philosophical theologian, and one of America's greatest intellectuals. Huh. So who is Charles Finney? I guess Charles Finney. Who is that? Because I know that name means something. Can't believe I missed two of these. Charles Finney was an American Presbyterian minister and leader in the Second Great Awakening. Oh, there was two Great Awakenings. He's the father of the modern revivalism. Wow. You're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, but Charles Finney is one ugly dude. Holy cow, Charles Finney might be one of the ugliest people I've ever seen. Look, you tell Siri to remind you about this later. If you're listening on one device where you can go to do a web search on it or use a different, go search Charles Finney. His middle name is Grandison, Grandison. Charles, Grandison, Grandison Finney, Finney. That is the scariest, ugliest guy I've ever seen. Holy cow, Charles Finney, I would not have followed you. He might have been the greatest preacher ever, but I hate to be judgmental. Oh, God. Wow. Holy cow. Well, It says I'm in the top 4%. Getting 13 out of 15 right puts you in the top 4%. So I guess that's not too bad. It turned out to not be a Bible quiz, even though it's labeled Bible quiz. So I find that interesting. All right, that wraps up the podcast today. We've eaten up the better part of 30 minutes doing pretty much nothing. Hey, thanks for listening today. You could do me a great favor. If you enjoyed any or part of the podcast at all, would you hit the share button on Facebook and share it and go, hey, look, this Brett Mason dude is doing podcasts. He doesn't completely suck at it. Maybe you'd want to listen to him. And I'd really appreciate that greatly, probably more than you know. I really enjoy doing this. It's a way to connect and share. And the conversation works better when it goes both ways. So if you would comment and participate in the comments section under the post on Facebook where this is posted, do that. If you stumbled across my podcast and it wasn't through my Facebook page, you can find me easily. It's facebook.com/BrettMason69, BRETTMASON 69 is how you can find my Facebook page, and comment on there and like the page if you haven't. I'd appreciate that. Share it, please. Like it, thumbs up it, and all that stuff. And if you think that you would be a great guest for the Brett Mason podcast, or you know someone that would be a great guest. Now, look, it can be somebody who has a particular set of knowledge or information about stuff that we would find interesting. It could be somebody who's just entertaining and enlightening and funny. It could be someone who has a great cause that we need to spread the word about, a great fundraiser or something going on in the community or something like that. Here's what you need to do is shoot me a message on Facebook. If you go to my Facebook page, you can just shoot me a message on there, and we'll do our best to see if we can't do the interview. At the very least, it'll be entertaining. I can't promise you that you'll be on the show if you do that, but I want to be interview-oriented. So just about anything pretty much that I think will work or might be interesting, we'll probably go with. So you can participate in that way, and I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. Thanks to Toyota Dothan Rental Cars, my buddy Courtney over there. I really appreciate that. You guys are just awesome. You're awesome. You're 87 kind of awesome. I'm going to tell you what's coming up on tomorrow's show. If all goes well, we will be talking to Bud and Broadway. Bud and Broadway on tomorrow's podcast. That should be fun.
This is the Brett Mason Show. Hey, hey, hey. My name is Brett. This is my show. This is my show. Hey, hey.